Okay, so I can see lots of people joining the webinar now. We will give you a couple of seconds to get in and get everything set up. In the meantime, though, if you'd like to say hello in the chat, let us know where you're joining from, if you've participated in University Mammal Challenge this year or not, that would be lovely. Okay, I think we will get started there. We've got some people introducing themselves in the chat, and I will let anybody else join just as we get going. So good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our finale of the 2025 University Mammal Challenge. Most of you know me already. My name is Fiona, and I work for the Mammal Society, and I'll be hosting today's session. So we've called this webinar UMAC and Beyond, Celebrating Student-Led Mammal Conservation, because this session is all about celebrating the efforts of our student teams this year. And I hope inspiring all of you to continue engaging with the Mammal Society and with mammal conservation. And for anybody that's joined that didn't participate in UMAC, hopefully this just gives you an insight into the kind of potential of student-led conservation. So over the past 12 weeks, student teams from across the UK have been out recording mammals, running events, championing conservation in their communities. And today we're really here to just celebrate all of that fantastic work. But during this session, we'll also be covering a quick overview of the challenge and what we've achieved, some spotlights from some of the amazing teams that took part. We'll have some talks from some really inspiring guest speakers on careers, citizen science, conservation pathways. And of course, we will be announcing the winners of this year's challenge. So with that, we will get started. So just before we get started, a quick word about who we are. I expect most people on this call already know, but the Mammal Society is a charity dedicated to evidence-based mammal conservation. So we work to improve understanding of mammals through research, monitoring and training, and to share that knowledge to protect them for the future. We also ensure that all of the data that you collect and all of those records don't just sit in isolation. We make sure they feed into all of the work that shapes conservation action and policy. So our vision is a future in which sustainable mammal populations thrive as part of healthy and diverse ecosystems benefiting people and nature across the British Isles. And we're striving to achieve this through all of the different strands of our work. And through this session, I'll be highlighting different ways that you can continue to be involved. But do have a look at our website if there's anything you want to know about any of our specific projects or areas of our work. So for those of you that didn't participate, the University Mammal Challenge is one of those ways that we aim to engage and empower the next generation of mammal conservationists. So we encourage student-led mammal recording and different outreach efforts as well. With mammals often under-recorded compared to other species groups, your efforts really play a vital role in helping us understand and protect UK wildlife. So for those of you who didn't participate, I'll go into a little bit more detail on the next slide, but essentially students form teams of 5 and then they earn points by engaging in different activities. So that might be mammal monitoring, it might be fundraising or engagement, or a little bit of everything. So to explain a little bit more about how it works, so we have teams throughout the country and they focus their activities in different areas. So it could be recording mammals, and each month they gather data both along set transects and through kind of ad hoc sightings. And this helps us build a clearer picture of mammal activity. Every record they submit earns points towards their team's overall score. They also then boost their points through fundraising and engagement. So this means running activities to raise awareness of mammals and mammal monitoring, or fundraising to support the efforts of the Mammal Society. So from guided walks to campus stalls and social media campaigns, there's been a huge variety of creative outreach this year. And it's very much up to the teams that participate as to how and when they engage with these kind of things and what direction they take them in. And every year I am amazed by the output that the teams create, and their ideas and their creativity is absolutely amazing to see. So this year we added a new element and we kept things interesting by having our weekly challenges. So this gave teams extra opportunities to earn bonus points or spot prizes. And these varied week to week. Sometimes they were related to a different theme. So National Mammal Week was one, and things like British Science Week, or sometimes they were fun and creative tasks, and it just adds a bit of competition along the way. So everything the teams collect is logged through Mammal Mapper, and then at the end of each month, the team submitted a quick summary form to let us know what they've been up to, and then I do some maths to work out and track the scores, and then we can celebrate the highlights as well. So just a note for our UMAC teams, every year we tweak the format slightly based on feedback and keep improving the challenge, and this year is no different. Tomorrow you'll receive a short feedback form all about UMAC, and we'd love to hear what you enjoyed, what worked well, and what you think we could improve for next year. This really helps us to kind of shape how UMAC grows in the future. So hopefully that set the scene a little bit in terms of what UMAC involved and who we are at the Mammal Society. So on to kind of letting you know what happened this year. So this year we had 30 teams from across the UK. I'm hoping there are no geographers on the call because I've tried my best to place these drop pins near where you all are, but they might not be exact. That's triple the number of teams we had than last year. And together you ran over 30 events, which reached over 500 students and staff on campuses nationwide. So from campus walks to talks and stalls, it's been amazing to see how much you've inspired others to get involved. Collectively, you also raised almost £500 to support the Mammal Society's conservation work. So a really big thank you to all of our teams that have been involved in those efforts. Every pound you raised helps fund research, training and advocacy for UK mammals. So on to the data on the recording front, the numbers really speak for themselves. So overall, you completed 288 transects using Mammal Mapper, and that's more than we had last year. You logged a huge 1,519 ad hoc sightings. Last year, we only had about 300 ad hoc sightings, so you guys have really, really pushed that one. And you uploaded a staggering 4,822 sequences to MammalWeb. With just under 3,000 of those have already been classified, and that's nearly double last year's total of 2,503 sequences. And I really want to reiterate that these records don't just sit on a spreadsheet. They feed directly into conservation efforts. They help build the evidence base we need to protect species and habitats. So alongside all of those brilliant numbers, we've absolutely loved everything you've shared on social media throughout the challenge. So there's just a few little screenshots from the Instagram profile of Mammal Society Youth there, and lots of your collaborative posts. Your posts, photos, reels and updates on Instagram have really helped bring UMAC to life this year, and not just for us, but also for so many others too that have just enjoyed kind of watching along and learning a little bit about what you've been up to. Overall, compared to last year, you've not only expanded the scale of UMAC, but you've massively ramped up the data collected and the number of people engaged. So whether you were out surveying, running events or encouraging others to care about mammals, you've all really made a difference. You've helped fill gaps in our knowledge, raised awareness of under-recorded species and inspired action on campuses right across the country. So before we move on to the big reveal, I would like you all to just give yourselves a massive round of applause. You have done an incredible amount of work over the last 12 weeks. I can't believe it's only been 12 weeks, and the amount you have achieved has been absolutely amazing. So it is time to reveal the winners. And I haven't put any fancy transitions on this slide. So as soon as I change the slide, you're going to see our final scoreboard. So our top 3 teams on the scoreboard. In first place are our team from Lincoln. And your score is absolutely incredible. A massive 28,650 points. I do not even know how you did it. How you have managed to upload that many sequences to Mammal Web and classify them all is amazing. In second place, we had Swansea University Conservation and Ecology Society. They had a really impressive 7,850 points. And this is a really impressive team that started out without doing a huge amount in the first month, and then they've really ramped up their efforts into the final month, which has superly boosted their score. And in third place, we have the Salford Stoats with 5,250 points. So a huge congratulations to our top 3 teams. You've absolutely smashed it this year. I also wanted to give a special shout out to 3 other teams who were so close to making the leaderboard. So Mammal Mia, here we go again, from SRUC, the Fertastic 4 from the University of Exeter, and the Derby Deers from University of Derby. So thank you for bringing so much energy, enthusiasm and fun to UMAC. It's been an absolute joy following everything you've done, and a really well done to the teams that aren't mentioned here as well. All of your efforts have been acknowledged. So on to the prizes. So our first place team have bagged themselves £150 in NHBS vouchers, so you can share those out between you, and you will each get one of our prints from Mammal Photographer of the Year as well, and I've got them all boxed up ready to send to you tomorrow. Our runners-up, so Swansea, you will take home £100 worth of Mammal Society training course vouchers, so you can either decide that you're going to invest in one of your team members, or you can spread them out between you however you want. And you'll each be receiving a Mammal Society and Tea Mill tote bag and a bundle of goodies from Rye Designed, which have got some lovely mammal-themed prints. And our third place team, the Salford Stoats, you've also got some lovely Rye Designed mammal-themed goodies heading your way in the post as well. So a massive well done to all of you. We will be posting the official scoreboard with you guys all as collaborators on Instagram tomorrow. But it is time now for me to stop talking and to hear directly from some of you guys. So we've absolutely loved seeing everything you've been up to over the past few months. And now I'm going to hand the floor over to some of our teams just to share a little bit about what they've been up to. So we're going to go to our first place team, the Lincoln Imps, first. So I will stop sharing my screen and hand over to you guys so we can hear a little bit from you.
Hi everyone. So I'm hoping you can hear us. We are so happy. So we just wanted to share a little bit about what we've been doing over the last 3 months. We've done a lot and we've had a lot of fun. So this is our presentation just showing everything, and hopefully it will go smoothly. We'll see. So who are we? Well, we're from the University of Lincoln. There's 5 of us in our team: Tom, Lucy, Sam, Becky and me, Georgie, and we're all studying our masters at the minute in biodiversity, conservation and nature recovery. So we decided we wanted to take part, mostly because our course doesn't really have much field work, so we wanted something to do and something to have fun doing with our friends. So we really have had just the best time ever. We're hoping that you can kind of see a few things here. The very top photo is us going out and just looking for transects and looking at the site basically the first ever time. And then we also did footprint tunnels and loads, which we'll show in a minute. So hopefully we'll do it justice.
So to begin with, in February, we started out on our first surveys. We set up some footprint tunnels and camera traps, and we walked our transects for the first time. Later in the month, we also did a bake sale, raised over £200 for the Mammal Society, which we're really proud of. Here's just some photos of us keeping busy, finding good places for camera traps, learning how to make the charcoal tunnels and getting to grips with mammal mapper. We found so many different things, from mammal tracks to bones to an unfortunately dead shrew, badger hair, and loads of prints. We were still becoming really familiar with it, so it's great to find all these new things. And here's some footage for you to enjoy.
And then in March, we did a larger scale event with many people doing an owl pellet dissection event. We were trying to see if there was any presence of an invasive species, the great white-toothed shrew. Lisa here gave the amazing presentation about owl pellets, and then with our guests, we dissected some and tried to ID the bones. Then Georgie Beck here went to a local school to give a presentation about mammals and went back later to do an activity making footprint tunnels. Then all 5 of us went to do an activity night with a local scout group. Tom here gave a presentation. Then we did some games such as a matchup game and created some hedgehog mammal art with the groups. We participated in some of the challenges. One of them was week 7's art challenge, which we managed to win with some little clay models photographed in the Lincoln area. And then while we were doing some volunteering, we did a harvest mouse survey and found evidence of 2 disused harvest mouse nests. And then later on, we did a bat walk and talk where Lucy here led again doing a fantastic presentation about bats. We made flyers to educate people and then took 30 people around the campus to find some bats. We saw a couple of species, and this was our biggest event overall.
So month 2 was more surveys. My favourite picture is the picture of Sam. He's looking excited. Sorry, Sam. And what we found, again, it was just a lot of prints. At the top you can see badger print, left hand side you can see loads of mouse prints, small rodent prints, and then you can see roe deer running there, and then it's disappeared now. But there was a video from bat walking talk, which was just, it was really surreal hearing the bats on sectors and then going out and actually seeing them as well. Here's some videos from month 2. It was amazing seeing badgers and roe deer, everything like that, but it was just astonishing to see a polecat. We never thought that we'd get anything like that, which you can see in the bottom right corner.
So in April, we hosted a fox talk. So one of our lecturers volunteered to give a talk about the red fox because he's done a lot of research about that. We also visited an allotment. So we went to Longleat's allotment, and Alex in the bottom right photo, she showed us around her allotment, and then we shared some mammal-friendly practices through social media campaigns. And we also put up a camera trap on her allotment to see kind of what wildlife visits, and quite a lot. We also gave an Animal Society talk, so our university's Animal Society. We gave a talk all about UMAC, what we've been doing, why we'd definitely recommend doing it next year. And then we also ran a photography competition, and we had 4 categories that people would enter. It wasn't just mammals, but these are some of the photos that won. And then we also hosted a quiz. So Sam was our amazing quiz master, asking all the questions, giving the answers. We had lots of different rounds, including a fictional mammal round and an animal-themed song round. And during the quiz, we also did another fundraiser. So we did a tombola, and we raised over £200 for the Mammal Society. And then we also hosted our last event in April. So we did a Tracks and Trails event. So we took a group of people around our campus, kind of showed them what we've been doing on all these surveys. We walked our transects, the guests chose where to put our cameras up, and we then did an Instagram post with all the footage that those cameras picked up, and they were really successful. We tried to ID some of the footprints in our tunnels, and then we made some footprint tunnels to take home as well.
So on 3 in April, we got quite improvisational with our camera placement, making some little string bound posts in the ground outside badger sets. We were really proficient in making charcoal tunnels at this point. We're really enjoying the warmer weather and getting to walk our transects every week. It's great. Sorry about that.
A van reversing.
You can see on this slide we found a cool squirrel skull, as well as some rabbit bones, and one of our tunnels made by one of the guests from the Tracks and Trails event got loads of great prints, and yeah, at this point we were great at identifying mammal poo and tracks. It was a breeze. And there's some more lovely footage, including a lovely badger in its set getting scared. It's one of my favourites, as well as footage of an otter. A little last minute addition to the identifications we found.
So in total, we did 48 transect walks, 32 camera surveys, and it was a lot of late nights going through that footage. 89 footprint tunnels, like Tom said, by the end of it, I think we're all pros at identifying footprints, in 120 Instagram posts. And yeah, so like I say, there was a lot of footage to go through, 2,871 videos in total. And on the footage, we saw 73 red foxes, 72 badgers, 58 brown rats, 50 muntjacs. And with them being invasive, obviously it is just interesting to see how much invasive species have kind of encroached on campus. But yeah, 29 roe deer, 2 grey squirrel, and amazingly 1 polecat and an otter.
So throughout UMAC, we've also been running a series of social media campaigns. So we did our Mammal of the Week. So each week we picked a British mammal to showcase, and we wrote a little bit of information about that, and then any kind of dangers that they're facing. We did our Valentine's campaign. So we all picked our favourite British mammal, again wrote a bit of information and how you can kind of help the mammal. And then we also did an International Women's Day campaign celebrating women in conservation and ecology. And we did a few quizzes as well. So we did a bat quiz, a fox quiz, and then a general mammal quiz.
Each of the weekly challenges, we tried to do all of them. With some we put a lot of effort in, some we got done, but we made sure to do all of them. Here's some of them. We did social media post ones, art-based ones, and just general planning ones, doing our activities along the way.
So what have we learned from doing UMAC this year? We genuinely have learned so much. I don't think any of us really had many mammal skills at the beginning, but we can now identify their tracks and signs. We know how to run a successful survey. We've, through trial and error, that's the best way to do the footprint tunnels and make our own too. And we've really had a great time organising events and engaging with people in the uni and a bit further afield as well, with charities and stuff too. So it's been really, really fantastic. So our plans for the future are very exciting. We've enjoyed it so much that the nearest one to us, because we're actually in the city of Lincoln, is Nottingham, which is quite far away for us to go. So we're going to open up our own Mammal Society group here in Lincoln for Lincolnshire. And we're really hoping that it will be really successful. We've already had people say they'd like to join, so it's fantastic. And we're also going to organise a big fire blitz in July, and that's going to have a lot of mammal activities in it too. So we're really looking forward to it. So thank you very much for watching. We hope that everyone's enjoyed the presentation, and there's our email here if anyone has any questions. You can also DM us on Instagram. We're going to keep the Instagram, but we're going to convert it to the Mammal Society page, so we're still using it for our group, and then all of our individual ones there too, if anyone wants to message us or follow us and would like to follow back. So thank you very much, and also thank you to the Mammal Society for letting us take part. It's been really, really brilliant. So thank you.
Amazing. Well done, guys. And that is great to hear that you were going to set up a local mammal group. I'm very excited about that. And to hear that your Instagram is going to carry on, because I was wondering what was going to happen to that Instagram and all of the amazing content that you've been creating. So a really, really great job you've done. Well done. We're going to hand straight over to our team from Salford, to the Salford Stoats. I've got your presentation here, so I will just start sharing that and I'll hand over to you guys.
Hello, my name is Jess. I'm from the Salford Stoats. I believe Ali, who was also supposed to be presenting, I think she's having some service issues.
So sorry, I've just come
Oh
back.
no, she is back. Here we go.
It's taken a little while, I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
Should I start? Are we happy?
Yeah,
to
we can start.
Okay, let me just pull out this and then we shall be ready. So hi, lovely to meet everyone. If you previously are unaware of who we are, we're the Salford Stoats. If you'd like, you can move to the next slide. So many people wouldn't know where Salford is. I personally didn't know where Salford was until I came to university, but Salford is one of the areas in Greater Manchester, so we're up north, and Salford is very unique in the sense that it has quite a lot of green spaces, including our campus, which has a very famous park called Peel Park. It's been a great chance to kind of see the more urban side of UMAC. Not only just being able to see how the mammals coexist with us in and around campus, but also within the big green areas like Peel Park, within Castle Wetlands, many different places around us, really. So throughout the challenge, we kind of had multiple adventures during this time. Now, when we talk about adventures, these didn't come without their challenges, but Jess will get into this in a second. So when it came to our challenge, one of the biggest things was our ad hoc mammal sightings. As our team all are on very different courses, scheduling was sometimes difficult. So we mainly relied on ad hoc mammal sightings in order to record what was around us. So this helped us create and develop an everyday awareness by letting us actively observe and record the presence of these local mammals. Within this, we were also able to, understand and gain very interesting knowledge about the folklore and the history of mammals within Salford. In particular, one example was the otter. The otter had previously been thought to not exist in Greater Manchester until about the early 2010s, when specialists actually went looking for it, because until then many had been reported, but people always disregarded it as the American mink. So it was very interesting to be able to actually confirm that. We unfortunately didn't see one, but by gaining such stories, we were able to understand the impacts that such mammals could have on the environment. We were also able to deploy our own footprint tunnels. Now, unfortunately, we had to DIY our own ones, which was quite interesting. We used a variety of materials, Amazon boxes, pizza boxes, in order to deploy these in and around our campus and specifically our sport fields. We also were quite lucky with the resources that were around us, specifically regarding the hedgehog-friendly litter picks that were around us. These take place almost weekly on our campus, specifically in Peel Park, and really help contribute towards the conservation of this unique British mammal. We also had mammal-themed art week. This was done across 2 weeks because our team wanted to really emphasize this. So we had a sip and paint event as part of the Nature Society. And then we also were able to create our own pieces of artwork and have supporting the individuals help kind of, raise awareness around these mammals, but also come up with some amazing masterpieces, which we demonstrated on and posted on our Instagram. I think by far the biggest highlight for every single one of our team members was the BioBlitz event. This BioBlitz event was 24 hours of mammal surveying. It was quite unique because we unfortunately didn't host it, but we helped support it, which was being run by the Sustainability Society and the Salford Rangers, who were responsible for these many green spaces around us. There were many events within this, such as a bat walk, small mammal monitoring, and other types of surveying around amphibians, around different flora around us and lichen. So it was an incredible day, 24 hours, where we were able to gain what was around us, really. And then we were able to also contribute within our community gardens. Seeley Park Pavilion and Cafe has been a major support of this project, and also of the Nature Society, of which we all belong to. And among this, we kind of wanted to reflect on our experience, because we all come from very different backgrounds, whether it be the course we study or the place we come from in the UK. We then composed this into a blog, which was posted on your website. And it was quite lovely to be able to share this with people who, and spread, the word about this incredible challenge that we were able to take part in. And lastly, we kind of, Jess in particular, really wanted to emphasize the practice of wildlife friendly recycling, or just being more mindful about how to protect the natural world. We could move on.
Okay, so some challenges we had were we had very limited resources and funding. We didn't have many connections which we were able to gain funding, or the resources such as trail cameras or tunnels. So we had to sort of try to figure things out ourselves and DIY our own little tunnels, as Ali said. Which did make it quite difficult, but we still had a great time. We also don't do, our uni courses aren't related to nature or mammals or anything like that. For example, I'm doing film production and Ali's doing occupational therapy. We're all from very different backgrounds, but we've all got a big interest in nature and mammals and sustainability, which is why we chose to do it. And we thought we'd be up for the challenge of doing it. And it was a challenge that we didn't have much prior knowledge, but we still had a really great time and learned a lot. Because we're all doing different courses, our schedules really clashed. It was really tricky meeting up and doing surveys and going to events. We still managed to do a few and attend a few, but not as many as we would have liked. Others have work or placements, but we still managed to get out and do some, which was really fun. But we did have some challenges, but we did also have some strengths. We did gain some connections along the way. So you can see there's a picture. This was where picture on the right of the slide. This was where we were in the BioBlitz event. Here we were looking at some small mammals. So we saw some field mice, and I think it was a vole as well. And that was really interesting. It was a very, very fun morning. We also went on a bat walk, and we gained some connections with the man who was leading that, which was great fun. And also we're all a part of the Salford Nature Society. So we collaborated with all the members of that and ourselves. And the Nature Society actively promotes nature engagement and well-being. So it was really fun for all of us to work in the society and as the UMAC Challenge. So yeah, we did gain some expert support, as I've already mentioned, in the bat walk and the small mammal monitoring. We gained some connections to David Wedge and Tony Parker, and this really helped to improve our knowledge on mammals and nature and everything. And we've learned so much, and we're really grateful that we've gained so many valuable connections with other people who we wouldn't have gained without this challenge. Yeah, you can go to the next
we can go
slide.
to the next slide. So here you can see a pie chart of all the mammals that we were able to either observe or see signs of. Now, as you can see, there is a large majority of grey squirrels. They are very, very common within Peel Park, which is great to see, although you know, they are an invasive species, as previously mentioned, but we got to see a large diversity there. And it was great to know that you don't just see the grey squirrel around, that you have other mammals around too. But some of our personal highlights as a team was right at the beginning of the challenge, actually discovering active both fox and badger dens on campus, and not just within, you know, the further back corners of the park, but actually quite close to very busy areas like the accommodation or sports centre. Within that, some key sightings that actually just blew our minds were the American mink. We'd heard of how notorious they were in Greater Manchester, but we didn't actually expect to see any. So the fact that we saw a few, specifically Jess, when she saw it on the BioBlitz foraging walk, it was incredible. The fact that we were able to see quite a few foxes was quite nice, although they may be more common in other parts of the country, like London. Up in Greater Manchester, seeing them is quite uncommon, so it was nice being able to spot them. And lastly, it was very interesting to see such a big mammal like roe deer on our actual campus, whether it be walking past the library one day or be in the actual park swimming across the River Irwell. It was incredible to be able to see roe deer. We estimate that there's about 3 roe deer, certainly a pair of a male and a female. So it was quite interesting to be able to see them from whether it be sent in via supporting individuals or whether we spotted them ourselves. As mentioned previously, the BioBlitz event was a huge highlight for us, not only as for the challenge, but for us as individuals. It either sparked a new interest. I never knew I'd love to learn about lichens so much, nor did I know that I would be so interested in bats, but here we are. Other highlights, as the Lincoln Imps, field work was a huge thing for us. We just absolutely adored being able to get out into nature and setting out these footprint tunnels, but also just being able to do things together when we could, building connections with people who are very like-minded. And the fact that we got to explore all of Salford, quite certainly when I speak here from experience, I am very focused on my studies. So being able to just take a break and go explore a new park, maybe half an hour down the road by the bus, or, you know, walk half an hour to the wetlands and be able to not only see mammals, but also other wildlife there was incredible. We can go to the next slide. So here are some of the mammals that we were able to see across the challenge. Here are also some signs, as you can see in the left-hand corner. This is the ranger Jessica for Peel Park holding little nuts that had been eaten or opened by wood mice. You can also see the sets there, or the dens, including the field vole, rabbit den, some very concerning looking foxes, which we also helped to report to the rangers, a variety of bats, including the common pipistrelle, the soprano pipistrelle, the nocturnal bat, and very interesting actually, the whiskered bat, which we hadn't previously understood was in the area. And as you can see, there were quite a lot of wood mice around too. You can go to the next slide. And here are just some examples of what we got up to over the challenge. Here are some of our team members. So Gina, Jess W, Catherine and myself. You can see part of them setting out the footprint tunnels, doing surveys on the bat walks, and then also engaging in just, you know, being outside and focusing on well-being whilst doing this.
So what we learned, we did quite a bit of field work and deploying equipment and conducting the surveys didn't always guarantee success. For example, the tunnels we set up weren't very successful. A couple of them ended up getting taken, which was really annoying. But we still got out, and whilst we were setting them up and walking around, we got to see lots of prints and tracks and dams, which was very interesting. We did underestimate the level of detail and the time needed for these. So unfortunately, we weren't able to get as many results as we would have liked. But we still got to go out a bit, which was very fun. and doing this field work did help us gain valuable experience and knowledge. So we've now got a good understanding and knowledge on how to conduct this field work and set up the tunnels. And I think if we were to do it again, we would definitely, with the connections we've now got, try get some trail cameras. We did try get one from the sustainability team here at Salford, but unfortunately we couldn't get it working. It was a bit of an odd trail camera, but we tried, but it was unsuccessful and we weren't able to get another one. But we still gained some knowledge on how to get it all done, which was really valuable to us. The collaboration when we were together was really effective. It wasn't often we were able to meet together, but when we were together, we worked really well as a team. We had a good time. And you can see there's a picture of me, Jess G, and Catherine setting up one of our DIY tunnels. When we were coordinating our team activities, so the blog writing, the general post throughout the challenge, etc. This was quite tricky as we were all very busy, with our courses and then with work. But we did manage to get it done. We managed to post our blogs, and Ali was the main director of the social media, and she did an absolutely fantastic job at that. We would really have not done well without Ali, so thank you, Ali. And again, with Ali making sure that we had a plan in place really helped keeping consistency. It really helped me keep on track, and we were able to get everything done when it needed to be done. Moving on to mammals, we did discover quite a surprising diversity of local mammals. I really was not expecting to see live badger dens or fox dens just outside of where I live, which is really quite built up. I wasn't expecting to see deer or an American mink. It was really exciting, and being able to go out and do this field work and be in this challenge probably meant that I wouldn't have gone out as much and seen the variety of wildlife in Salford, and I'm really grateful for that. As I just mentioned, we observed how mammals continue to thrive even in heavily built up environments, which was really great, really promising and positive.
And then moving to our last slide, so we kind of wanted to give some advice to some of the teams that might be participating next year. So the challenge is incredible to start off with. It's pushed us personally, but also piqued new interests. As said, never thought I'd be so interested in bats, but here we are. But within that, it is a significant commitment, and that one should ideally focus to meet weekly, at least twice a week or every 2 weeks to sustain such a thing. And as Jess had previously mentioned, having a plan in place really helped structure it and ensure that people were able to commit to such. Within that, setting a reoccurring date, time, plan ahead could really help. We really struggled when it came to the Easter time, but it really helped when we were able to kind of, just pop each other texts. Thank goodness we have that kind of thing these days and that resource, but it was incredible. Also, be more aware of the resources around you. I never knew the Salford Rangers existed before this challenge, but they were probably one of our biggest resources along with the Sustainability Society, and just kind of make sure that you are being more mindful when it comes to what's around you and your impact. That's all I think, but thank you so much.
Amazing. Thank you, guys. It was so great to hear what you got up to and your kind of reflections on your experience and some advice for next year as well. I think it's really striking, both with your team and with the team from Lincoln, that point about kind of making local connections. And it's really cool to see what you guys have all done and all of those connections that you've made. And that's all you. Everything you've put on is off your own backs, and you've done that yourself. So a really big well done. an amazing effort again. So we're going to go now to a couple of guest speakers that are hopefully going to inspire you all to keep engaging in the world of conservation. So we're going to start off with Charlotte, who was part of our winning team last year. And Charlotte's just going to share a little bit about what she has been up to since then and how she's used some of those skills from UMAC in the real world since the challenge. So I'll hand over to you, Charlotte, and we'll see if your screen share works okay.
Yeah, did you get the file I sent?
Oh, I haven't seen it come through. Give me 2 seconds. Aha, yeah, I've got it.
Yeah.
Hey,
Sorry, I've been having technical issues at my end, so.
don't worry. Just it's just loading up here. Here we go. I don't think I've ever had so many presentations in one webinar. There we go.
Wonderful, guys. Well, as I've been introduced already, my name's Charlotte and I was on the winning team last year for UMAC. I originally was part of a team for the year before, so the 2023 one, where we came third. And then last year, with a team of 5, I headed it up and we were the winning team. So first of all, I'd just like everyone to maybe just reflect at the moment on how much work you've done. You know, it is hard work, it is a commitment, and everyone's done phenomenally well. I'm so impressed with what I've seen and what everyone's been up to. So I'm just going to talk about a little bit about what I've done since winning UMAC and a little about those sort of skills we picked up during that and how I'm using them today. So if you'd just like to do the next slide, please. So of course, one of the big things about UMAC is that you are picking up those skills, which are ecology skills. You know, you are learning field survey techniques, you know, you're doing transects, you're learning to sort of read the land as you're walking around, so you see those signs of mammals. Species identification, I mean, when I first started, I was a little bit unsure of myself with some of the species, but now I have other people come and talk to me and ask me, oh, what's going on here? You know, can you check out these pictures? Can you look at these footprints and see what's going on? And also what you've learned is lots of things to do with data collecting and recording. You know, that is a skill within itself, and it's something that really, like, I hope everyone will carry on doing. One of the things I particularly liked when I was doing it was the Mammal Mapper app. That's always like really fun thing to do, and I do find myself still going back to that. So I do implore people do carry on doing this. However, if I can just go to the next slide, please. You've also learned a lot of transferable skills. These are things that, you know, other jobs are going to be looking for. These are things that you can put on your CV. I have the whole UMAC thing on my CV. It shows like that I've done all those transects, done data collection, etc. But it also has other things there, which is showing that you can do, first of all, project management. This is a big skill that people are looking for, and these are huge projects that you've undertaken. Think about all the organisation you had to put into that. You know, if you've done events, you've had to do your risk assessments for them. These are things that people look for when it comes to real life jobs and that. Not many people have project management, and congratulations to you all, you've now got that. Think about yourself that you've just done 3 months of work all around your studies, and you've managed that time, you've managed that commitment. So well done everyone on that. You've also learned teamwork and collaboration. You've worked together as a team to pull this off. And it's also that thing about personal development. You have gained all these like skills. Every single thing you've done, you can pick apart and go, oh, that could be used there, that could be used there. For example, I saw that someone, I think it's the first team, had done that social media on Instagram. People do look for this. If you've done a fundraising event, well, you've done fundraising. If you have taught a class, congratulations, you've taught a class. If you've organised volunteers, that's another skill to put onto your CV. So I'm going to go into now a little bit about the sort of what I've been up to. So if I can have the next slide, please. So during 2023, when I was doing the UMAC then, I actually ended up joining the North East Scotland Mammal Network on the committee. So I do have the chair online, I do believe. So hi, Rose. And we're a local group for the North East Scotland. We were started off, actually started just a little bit before I joined. But because of my work with doing stuff with UMAC, I ended up joining the committee, and it's one of the things that I really, really love doing. My primary job is to look after sort of the more technology side, so I do things with the website, as well as help out with social media, and then I do events as well. So as you can see from the pictures, this is an event we did with a outdoor classroom that was opening up in Torry and Aberdeen, and we ran like an sorry, I've just seen what Rose says. Thank you. But we ran a owl dissecting workshop, but we've done absolutely loads. So we've run the owl dissecting stuff. We've done a bones identification classroom with children. Here we're doing a tracks and science event. So we've done absolutely loads. It's really super cool to see the Lincoln folks going to set up their own local mammal group. Do check out if there's a local mammal group that you can join. And if there isn't, you're in the right place to set up your own. There is Derek also online, who I would say have a chat with him about setting up your local mammal group, as well as Fiona. And if we go on to the next slide, please. Wonderful. So I'm actually just finishing off being a university student. So this is the end of my 4th year. And I'm just got a job as a seasonal ecologist, which will be throughout the summer. And what I'm primarily doing is breeding bird surveys, as well as simultaneously doing amphibian surveys, butterfly surveys, invasive species and protected species. So that's where the mammals come into it. When I got the job, it was one of the things that they looked at my CV, they saw the UMAC, they saw how much work I'd done with mammals, and they were like, oh, great, you can do all that. And I was like, yeah, no problem, no problem. What was really funny was when we were doing this training session, they were both training us and trying to gauge how much experience we do actually have. And, you know, we were going through doing quizzes on birds, quizzes on invasive species, and then mammal one comes up. And on the screen was loads and loads of pictures of different tracks. And I answered the first one, and the rest of the room was silent. So I answered the second one, the rest of the room was silent. Answered the third one, the rest of the room was silent. And then they all looked at me and just said, can you do them all? I was like, yes. And they were like, go for it. So I just named every single mammal by their track. And they just turned around and looked at me and were like, okay, yep, so you're definitely doing the mammal surveys with us then. And I've had seasoned ecologists who've been doing this for a couple of years, 3 years, 4 years, coming up and asking me, oh, can you just confirm this photo? What animal is making this track? I'm like, yep. So what you've learned, you are well ahead than you think of your skill level. So well done for everyone. This is something you can put into your future, put it on your CV and take those skills because as you're stepping out into your career, UMAC really, really has offered a lot and given you a lot more than you think to take those sort of first steps out into the wider world. So just with the last slide, I just once again want to say well done to everybody who's taken part. It's phenomenal, and honestly, I'm so impressed with the amount of work that's gone into this year. You've all done really, really well. So give yourselves a round of applause and a pat on the back. And thank you very much for listening to me. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you, Charlotte. It's great to hear kind of what you've been up to since UMAC and yeah, your reflections on kind of all of those skills. It's nice to sort of see them put into a real life application. So I hope everybody else on the call has found that useful as well. So we're going to hand over to another speaker now. And I was thinking earlier about how to introduce Lyndon. And Lyndon, you've done so many things that I can't I can't put them into one little introduction. So I will let you just sort of explain to everybody what you've been up to. But Lyndon was one of our mammal champions last year. And I think that kind of sums up the big scope of all of the things that he's been involved in. So I'll hand straight over to you.
Thank you very much. And hi everyone, so my name's Lyndon. I think the reason why it's hard to explain what I do in an easy sentence is I'll try and summarise. So I'm currently a Masters of Research student at the University of Chester. I'm also a member of Chester Zoo's Youth Board. I'm a part of a couple of local organisations and chairs of a few committees. And then I'm also as well a recent author on hedgehogs, and I'm a hedgehog specialist. So I just thought it'd be really nice to share with you some of the research I'm doing at the moment, and then also a student initiative that I've been involved with for the past 3 years. So starting off with my most recent work, being a Masters of Research student, my project is investigating the rules in which schools can play in hedgehog conservation. So as part of this, I am working with 20 schools across the Northwest, ranging from Cheshire all the way up to the Lake District. I'm working with urban and rural schools, and what we're doing is we're placing wildlife cameras out at these schools to basically evaluate if they have hedgehogs and if they don't have hedgehogs. And then from this data, what I can do is then evaluate it and basically see, is there something that some schools are doing that other schools might be able to do to try and increase the amount of hedgehogs they may have in their locality. Alongside this, this project is partnered up with the Hedgehog Friendly Campus scheme. And the best part of this is we are comparing schools that are hedgehog friendly and schools that aren't hedgehog friendly. So this will give us an idea of if being a part of a actual initiative or scheme where you've got that added layer of support is beneficial for increasing the amount of hedgehogs that schools may have on site, or potentially if what's happening in a urban school and what hedgehog activities they're doing may slightly differ to what they might do in a rural school to increase the hedgehog population. It's been really amazing so far to take part in this research and to see the level of engagement we've had from the schools. So I'm really lucky I get to go out and visit each of the schools every 2 weeks. With some of them, I get to deliver assemblies. I've been able to do hedgehog sessions with them where we've built hedgehog houses, we've set up hedgehog feeding stations. I've done tutorials with the children on how to build hedgehog trackers, and we set those out. And for me, it's amazing when the children actually do get to see a hedgehog, or when they get to see signs of it, and then they get their teachers to get in touch with me and share that footage. And I think it's really inspiring to see that what for me is my research is really connecting them to conservation and to the natural world. So I think that's like a really nice benefit to what I personally gained from that. And then this all came about from the work that I'm currently doing with the Hedgehog Friendly Campus project. So for the past 3 years, I've been the project coordinator for the project at the University of Chester. When I first took on the role, we had just 5 volunteers. So very quickly, I realised with what we wanted to try and achieve at the time, which was just built a few hedgehog houses, set up some feeding stations, we might need a few more volunteers. So the first half of the year, we did a bit of a recruitment drive. And in that first year, we actually gained 80 student volunteers, which was incredible. And today, on average, we gain around 150 plus registered student volunteers every single year, which is amazing to be able to work with such a dynamic group of individuals. It allows me the chance to be able to see what they want to do and what I can create to make sure that they're able to achieve this. So as a part of our project, all of our students gain the opportunity to take part in citizen science. So for the past 2 years, I've partnered the project up with Chester Zoo's Hedgehog Watch. And so this is a way for our students to gain experience working with trail cameras, to work with footprint tunnels, and basically learn how to identify hedgehogs and how to use the equipment. And then from this data is then shared with Chester Zoo with the research project they're currently undertaking with a PhD student from Nottingham Trent University. And then this is allowing them to basically assess the work that they're doing with hedgehogs in the area and what may or may not be attracting the hedgehogs to the various different areas they're located. For our students, it's providing them a really great opportunity to learn not just about citizen science and how their input is really vital, but about key skills they can take on into their future career space. We've had some volunteers go on to actually become ecologists, working for various different local organisations, which is amazing to see where they started and they didn't have much experience to where they are now, where they're very seasonally trained and they have a lot of experience. A big part of which I know has already been highlighted from everyone is connections with local groups. And for us, one thing which I realised is we have quite a lot of student volunteers. And as a part of that, there's only so many activities that I can arrange in my free time to be able to provide activities for these students. And it's very rare we'd ever get the occasion we could have like all 150 of them in that one space to do something together. So I started to think, what can I do to try and increase the opportunities for our students? So we're trying to get them as connected as possible. And by doing this, I started to think, what organisations are there in the area, which led me to find the Wildlife Champions, which is part of the Networks for Nature with Chester Zoo. And so I registered us to be a part of this network. And the amazing part of this network is it's made up of various different local community groups, local wildlife organisations. So there's Cheshire Wildlife Trust, we've got the River and Canals Trust, and we've also got various groups like Chester Sustainability Forum we work with. And the great part to this is it means that I don't have to arrange all of the activities for our students. And so if any of these external organisations have activities or they're seeking volunteers, it's enabled me to share this with our network and share this with our students, so our students can then go on and gain experience and support these other organisations to continue and deliver the amazing work that they do. And I think that's probably why we have so many students engaged with us, because it's not just a on-campus initiative for us, because we are based in the centre of Chester. We're quite a small campus, so we're limited to what we can actually do. So having the access to resources and opportunities for our students to gain skills with other organisations and other community groups is really vital. And it's allowing them to become active and engaged citizens, which is really, really amazing. And it's great to see some of the work they're doing with the local community groups and to see how that support really has supported the local community. And for some of those groups, they may be the only volunteers those organisations receive. So it really has made a lasting impression in the community. One thing which I was starting to think of is, as I near my time towards the end of university, is basically how can I make sure the work that we're doing, especially with our outreach and engagement, which is the part which I absolutely love, can continue, and how we can continue to deliver the support we do for our hedgehogs on campus, which led us to actually create a pledge for nature in connection with Chester Zoo. And it's basically a pledge that the university stands by, that was signed by our Pro-Vice Chancellor, basically stating that our hedgehog project will continue and the university will do what they can to support it, which is amazing to know that it will continue in some capacity, even though it may change over time. But I think the biggest achievement we've achieved so far is when I first started the project, we had 0 hedgehogs on campus, and we now have 9 resident hedgehogs. We had, every single year, we have baby hoglets. And my personal highlight is we have one hedgehog who is a favourite. She's pretty much become our little captain of our group, and she's called Spot. You can really quickly identify her because some of the quills have a darker coloration, so it actually looks like a circle. We've seen Spot during the day, so we know she's in perfect health, because it did make me wonder, is something wrong, because that's what caused in the circle. Turned out she just had a very unique coloration. And we've had Spot on campus since the first year I started the project. And it's been great to see her go from moving onto site, having the hoglets, rearing the hoglets, and then the hoglets then remaining on campus. And I think for our students to see that their work has supported the hedgehog population to actually boom and grow has just been incredible, because it shows them that even if you're just going out and taking part in the big hog-friendly litter pick we do every year, that it's really making a tremendous impression on our local environment and the wildlife we have. And we also are very lucky where we now have a resident badger called Bruce, and we also as well have a resident family of foxes, including our vixen, who's called Floppy, because she has one floppy ear, so it's easier for us to identify her. The reason why we give our animals names is if we can specifically identify them. It allows students to take part in naming particular species on campus, which then gives them that emotional attachment to that animal, which will then empower them to feel connected to the story of that animal as they're progressing and the work that they're doing. And for us, it helps them feel more engaged with the work that we're delivering, because we can then go, actually, what we've done here has supported this animal in this regard. And I think for all of our student volunteers, it's been incredible for them to follow the stories of some of our individual species. But for me, it really has shaped my entire career. What started off as just volunteering and something I thought I'd just do on the side has pretty much become my full-time job. I absolutely love it. Every minute of every day, I'm doing something related to hedgehogs, whether that be going out with a local brownie and guides group, delivering hedgehog trackers and working with them to actually build them out of recycled cardboard, or going out to the local community and helping them like see if they have hedgehogs and what signs they have for hedgehogs. And it really has started to shape my career in conservation, education and engagement. So it's really amazing to see how what may start as something small and just a voluntary experience really can build up into something bigger. And as Fiona highlighted, I was very, very fortunate to receive the Mammal Champion Award last year from the Mammal Society. And it's definitely a personal highlight for myself. And I think it was great, not just for myself, but also for our volunteers, because it showed that all the incredible work that they put in over the years really has made that impact. And yeah, I highly recommend to anyone considering volunteering. It's definitely worth it, because the experience you gain is just invaluable. And as you all know, through taking part in the University Mammal Challenge, it's really a great opportunity to build those skills and hopefully advance all your careers. Thank you very much for listening.
Amazing. Thank you, Lyndon. I still feel like I can't comprehend how busy you are and how many different things you are involved in, but it's amazing to hear how much you enjoy it and how those kind of voluntary experiences have then shaped your career. So thank you.
Thank you.
We're going to hand straight over now to Karen at Countryside Job Service, just to tell us a little bit about what Countryside Job Service is and what they've got to offer you guys as students and in your kind of next steps now and looking for career opportunities. So Karen, I will hand straight over to you.
Okay, thank you. Right. As you've heard, my name is Karen Humphreys and I've been invited along to tell you a little bit about the Countryside Job Service. Although I trained as an ecologist, I'm now the editor of CJS. If you've not heard of CJS before, it's the original newsletter for countryside staff. It was created in 1994, initially focusing on ranger posts, but 30 years later, the remit is now much wider, covering everything from arborist to zoologist and all points in between. Originally, it was a paper edition mailed out to subscribers across the country. It's now a huge website providing a one-stop shop for everyone in the countryside, conservation, ecology and wildlife sectors. You'll find adverts for jobs and volunteer placements, and there's a large daily news service, a full training directory of courses, professional events and a large library of in-depth information covering the whole industry. I see you've already been given the link, but if we can screen share, then I can give you a quick guided tour of what's going on. All right. I'm not getting the option to screen share.
Well, you should have like a little green arrow at the bottom of your screen.
Yeah. There we go.
There we go.
Got it? There we go. Right, okay. So, although last year countryside roles like rangers in all their guises formed the majority of the vacancies, ecology and biodiversity jobs came a close second. And as you can see from this screen, we cover the whole of the sector. So we cover everything. And the vacancies that are advertised are broken up under these various sectors. So the fieldwork and research is the type of sector area where you'd see the types of jobs that would include the surveys and those sorts of things that you've been doing. There's also the admin and support, so the people who've been talking about doing social media and all of those sorts of things, that's where you look for those. So there's lots of different sectors on there. It covers, as I say, everything, all the different areas, maybe some areas that you haven't maybe thought of, like rights of way. Quite a few people have mentioned that they've maybe gone a little bit sideways and got diverted into other areas. So when you browse through the list, you can see all sorts of things that you maybe even hadn't considered. So looking at these different ones, you can have a look and work out maybe exactly where you want to go when you've finished your career, when you finished your degree, sorry. Now, being a student, I'm assuming that you're probably going to be quite happy to wander around the country to find the right job, but not necessarily possible for everybody. So you can also look by location. For some reason we're going very slow. So here we go. The adverts are also broken down by region. So if you go back to the original map, you can see sort of where you're all based at the moment. But maybe you want to go back closer to home. So you can have a look for the different regions. We're in North Yorkshire, so we'll have a quick look at the Northeast. So these are all the different jobs that are currently available across these different counties. And these are all the different sectors. So there's everything. So we've got rights of way, there's ecosystem, so that's for your ecologist, lots of ranger posts. And as you can see, there are lots of different employers. So we've got National Trust, Wildlife Trusts, Woodland Trust, Environment Partnership. So a graduate landscape and estates manager, that's probably the kind of level that you would go in at. That's obviously going to be practical countryside management. It's based in Gateshead. It's hybrid working, so there will be some working from home. Now, if we go back up to the top and back up to the main jobs, this is the full long list. There's lots of them. There's probably about 100 vacancies on there at present, so you can scroll through and find out different ones. But again, to start off, you're probably going to be looking at entry-level and graduate jobs, which you can find here with this lovely little seedling. So looking here, you'll see that there are not many. These types of jobs are always very popular. The last time our local national park, which is the North York Moors, advertised for trainee rangers, there were 12 places available and they had hundreds of applications. And in a recent article written for us, Clara Thomas revealed that there were 120 applicants for her one-year traineeship with the Peak District National Park. Now, I don't want to put you off applying. I don't want to put you off working in the sector because, as you already know, it's an amazing thing to do. And as people have already demonstrated, the rewards are incredible. But be prepared, it is very competitive. You are going to have to fight for a job. So how do you make your application stand out from everybody else's? Well, you've made a great start. By taking part in the challenge, you've already shown that you can identify mammals. Some people have already said when they're in their professional careers, they're already being seen as the experts. So you've already made a fantastic start. You've got those skills to put on your CV, to put on your application form. And again, you've got lots of skills that are transferable. So it's been mentioned, project management, your social media skills. Don't forget to put all of those down and include examples, because those are the sorts of things that are going to make your application stand out from someone else. But the other thing is you do need practical experience, and unfortunately, that goes back to volunteering. So we have all of the volunteering opportunities on the website. Again, it's divided up into different sectors. I know lots of people are not very happy about the amount of volunteering that's needed, and it's not always possible. You've made a brilliant start whilst you're at uni, you've got lots of things, but I'm afraid you're probably going to have to carry on doing lots of volunteering. It's a hotly debated subject. I had to volunteer for years when I qualified. Lots of people do. And especially in the current economic climate, for many organisations, it's just about the only way that they can keep their sites neat and tidy and keep everything moving along. So although paid posts are very highly fought over, there are lots and lots of volunteering opportunities. Now, for most of these, we break these up again under the similar sectors to the paid posts. Lots of these will be for full-time or significantly large part-time placements. more like a job, maybe getting a couple of days off so that you can go away and earn some money elsewhere. But we also list things like the University Mammal Challenge that you've taken part in, and there's also the opportunity to do practical work in conservation tasks and those sorts of things. Now you can find details of those on here as well through the volunteering organisations. Again, these are in region areas, so you can have a look. There are national ones which tend to be online things. Let's stick with the North East. So you can see the list of organisations within the North East and what they have. Types of volunteering offered are listed underneath, and work days are things that you can have a go at. You can go along, meet people, because networking is just as important as practical skills. So you can meet people, you can have a go, you can maybe try something that's outside what you normally do, see if you like it or not. If you've been focusing very much on field work and think you might like to have a go at environmental education, looking at hedgehogs in schools like Lyndon, then you can join up possibly with a work day and have a test, see what you think, see if it's going to be something that you like doing. If you don't, nothing lost, because it's just a day. But again, it's something else that you can put on your CV. Now, CJS doesn't just do jobs, although I appreciate that's probably what you're after most. We have lots of other sectors. So up at the top here, you can see we've got different areas. So news is, as it says, news headlines. So these are, we've got another nice citizen science one at the top here. This is updated every day. We go through thousands of different press releases, pull them all together and put out vital bits of information, hot topics of the day, and some of the smaller wins as well. So that just gives you an update on what's going on at any time. We also have features. These give you an opportunity to have an in-depth dive into a variety of subjects, allowing you to gain specialised knowledge so that if and when you do reach the interview stage, it might just give you the extra boost over the other candidates. So the most recent additions include a lot of mammal things at the moment, because we ran a focused week to coincide with Mammal Week. So we've got lots of mammal and animal things at the moment. So if you're fancying a bit of marine work, you might like to have a look at the sinking rope trial and find out how there's been an opportunity to change the way that fishermen catch various things off Scotland without damaging or affecting lots of the marine wildlife. The full index stretches back to articles published as far back as 2008. We reckon that we've got about 200 to 300 articles live at any one time. So there should be something on there for everyone. They're all checked regularly, so although they sound quite old, they will be up to date. Now, you've seen that the website is actually quite big. There's an awful lot on there. With all websites, you can click the logo to go back to the home page, so you know where you are and you can always get started again. Now, with there being so much on there, you could check back every day. You can follow us on social media or sign up for the daily email. But the best way to get everything that we offer is to sign up for CJS Weekly. That's the original CJS. It has paid posts. When it loads. CJS Weekly is the original. This is the edition that was published last Friday. This page tells you roughly what was in it. So you've got details of the news articles, the number of job adverts that we published, 29 new paid posts. Adverts are only included for 1 week. If you do sign up, you have access to back issues, so you can trawl back. So 29 adverts published last week. Brand new ones, not advertised before, won't be advertised again. But as I say, they are there and available. Now, some of the adverts that we publish, we do completely free of charge to the advertisers, because CJS has always wanted to give back rather than take. So we would much rather that organisations like the Mammal Society put their funding into running things like the challenge or conserving something. So they always have the opportunity to advertise free of charge. And those go into the weekly edition. So if this will load up. This is last week's weekly. As you can see, it's huge. Up to the top. These are all the different jobs, the 29 different jobs. Lots to look at. More jobs. This is a free lineage advert. They look different from the main adverts because they're broken up under these different headings, but you have all the information you need. These are 2 for volunteers. So you've got the information, how to contact people and that sort of thing. We also have, this is unique, the CJS digest of vacancies. We act a bit like a mini Google. Every week we go through approximately 1,500 different websites, pulling information from various recruiters, and we put it here. As you can see, it's just a very simple 1 line per advert. You've got the job title, who it's for, where it is, this one's home-based, and the closing date. So you would click on there, it will take you to the Central Bedfordshire Council website, and you would get all the information that you need as to whether the job's the right one for you, how to apply, and that sort of thing. We've also got features. So this is an early access feature. It's one of the advantages of getting the weekly. You get the information ahead of anyone else. This one won't be published until, it says later this month, but it's actually going to be the middle of next month. And then there's all the news at the bottom as well. Once a month, we include a training calendar of short courses. So if you discover that you need, let's say, a chainsaw license, or you want to, you've been working with bats and you need a greater crested newt license, that type of thing, you'll find training courses in the calendar telling you where they're on and who's running them, how long they'll be. Now, one of the advantages of being a student is that we offer the weekly completely free of charge to all students. All you need to do is sign up here. Because we know once you've finished university, it's quite difficult. It's very competitive and you need every help that you can get, and we want to help you. We want to make sure that the knowledge that you have gained whilst you were at university stays within the sector. But all of that enthusiasm that you've got is going to go to helping whatever species it is or whatever project. So we want you to join the sector as professionals. So all we need is your name and your email address. So sign up there and then you'll get an email from us saying welcome to CJS, and your first edition will land on Friday and you'll get a full year completely free of charge. Don't worry, when you get a job, which we hope you will do, just reply to the email and we'll take you off the mailing list. So I think that just about sums up who CJS is and what we do. And there we go. Anybody got any questions or anything you want to ask me?
Amazing. Thank you, Karen. I did not realise how much CJS did. That news feature looks really useful. So if you have got questions for Karen, and the same for our previous speakers, if you've got questions for Lyndon and for Charlotte, do pop them in the chat, and then hopefully we can kind of take them from there. We are running tight on time, but I'm going to hand over to our final speaker just to finish us off today. So we will probably run over a little bit. So we're going to hand over to Billy Heaney, who is one of our Mammal Society ambassadors, particularly because lots of you guys have been interested in the kind of social media side of things. I've invited him along just to share some of his insights into that kind of world of content creation. And I'm secretly hoping that there's going to be some good marine mammal footage in here as well, as there normally is with Billy's presentations. So I will hand straight over to you, Billy.
Thank you very much, Fiona. So I'll keep this fairly quick because I may get kicked out of the office. I'm currently doing my day job and I may get kicked out of the building. And Lyndon, it's great to see you again. I caught up with Lyndon back in November up at Chester Zoo, so it's nice to see a familiar face. So I'm going to give you a quick, very quick spiel, and then I might open this up to questions. And before I get kicked out of the office, so I can go home and walk my dog, if that's all right with everyone. But yeah, so I do apologise if I look a bit hot and bothered. We had our team day and we ended up playing rounders at lunchtime. And playing rounders when you're over 30 is exhausting. So I'm a bit tired. But anyway, so it's been really great to come down and have a little chat. So a little bit about me. I'm one of the Mammal Society's ambassadors. So been doing lots of fun stuff with the Mammal Society over the last couple of years, particularly Orca Watch last year with Fiona, which was awesome. I'm just going to give you a quick overview about my journey, where I've got to and what I'm doing. I currently work for WWT by day in their comms team. So a lot of the stuff I do is actually internal, but I do support our press team and our social media team. But I freelance on top of my day job. So I've got like quite a nice flexible routine with this day job at the minute. And I sort of freelance as a content creator, and I have an agent that I'm represented by for some broadcasting stuff. But I'm just going to take you back to 2012, not 2012, that's too many years, 2012, when I started my zoology degree at the University of Exeter. So I went down to the Cornwall campus, studied zoology, did 3 years there. And then I did my master's. I did a research project studying grey seal, so a nice mammal fix around the Cornish coast and the Isles of Scilly. So we were talking about volunteering in the previous talk. So whilst I was at uni, I volunteered loads. So, and actually one of the things that I did has really helped me in the last couple of years, even though I left uni a long, long time ago. So whilst I was doing my undergrad, I volunteered as a tour guide on a local sort of tourist boat. We went out of Falmouth and we took people out to see seals, whales, dolphins, basking sharks, all really lovely stuff. And I spent many, many hours on that boat out at sea. And some days you'd see absolutely nothing, not even a gannet or a seagull. And other days it would be like something out of Blue Planet and you'd have minkies, common dolphins and tuna all feeding together. So, but you got to put the hours in to see stuff like that. So I spent a lot of time out at sea doing that. And we'll come back to the boat stuff because it's something I picked back up again since the pandemic. Then I did my research master's. So I did that part-time over a couple of years and I had 5 part-time jobs whilst funding my master's. I was the year group back in when we had to pay all the new fees for our undergrads. And then I was the first year when we did postgrads where we couldn't get a loan for our postgrads either. So when I was doing my master's, I had 5 part-time jobs. And I borderline insomniac for a year, didn't sleep. So that was fun. But turns out, yeah, I figured all that stuff out afterwards. But I finally handed in my MRes in about 2018. And at that time, I set up a little business with 3 other people. We had a little production company that we did little science communications films called Muddy Duck Production. So a lot of that was science communication stuff. We were quite fortunate that a lot of the work we did was for Exeter Marine, a branch of our uni, and we did a lot of cool stories, particularly with Brendan Godley's research group and Green Turtles. But we did stuff with the Cornwall Seal Group about grey seal research. Obviously, grey seals are a particular favourite of mine just because of the research that I did in my undergrad and my postgrad. And yeah, we did a lot of different things. We did a few external stuff, but we ended up calling that a day during the pandemic, as many things did, just because we were then all over the shop. And then this is where I'll be quite honest, because Karen was talking about how hard it is to get a job. So I moved out of Cornwall. So I've actually been unemployed 3 times in the last, how many years? Since 2020, I've been unemployed 3 times. So it's quite hard. And I told Lyndon and a lot of the Chester Zoo youth team about this journey sort of before. So yeah, you're not wrong. It is very hard in this sector and you do have to do a lot of stuff for free, especially social media. If you're interested in social media, we'll come back to that. You're gonna have to do a lot of stuff for nothing, which is a shame, but it's just the way it is. But I ended up during COVID, I found myself landlocked. I wasn't in Cornwall anymore. I found myself in Gloucestershire. And my saving grace was a badger set behind the fence of where I was staying. And I ended up volunteering for Gloucestershire Wildlife Trust. And it wasn't like an actual volunteer position per se, but I made them videos every week during lockdown. All camera trap stuff. I didn't get a hedgehog, which was annoying for Lyndon's benefit. But what was quite nice is we got other people sending in footage. So we did get to see a lot of hedgehogs around Gloucestershire. But yeah, for me, it was the badger cubs that I was focusing on then. But the thing that came out of that for me was then in the September, I got offered a job at Gloucestershire Wildlife Trust off the back of all the videos and sort of the content that I was creating for the social media team. So I was with GWT for 3 years. And then won't bore you with the details from that, but then it got to a point where I wasn't progressing. There was no opportunities to progress, so I decided to leave. I freelanced for 2 months, and I was creating some video content for Whale Dolphin Conservation, the Badger Trust. So I had a few projects on the go, and it was actually a time where I started to get back into the tour guiding. So, and this was the right place, right time kind of thing. So contact. So a big part of the sort of my experiences is it is who you know and not what you know. So any contacts that you have, keep them. You never know when they're going to come back and be useful. And this was just a friend of mine. Someone, it was actually Megan McGovern, dropped out of being a tour guide on a boat, and he was like, do you want to do it instead? So I was sort of her understudy. So I ended up getting this gig on the boat in the Hebrides and got back into the tour guide. It was always something I wanted to get back into, but I can't do it full time, but I do it a couple of times a year. So that was a connection of right place, right time, and went around the Hebrides and then did it again last year. And I'm going back up in August this time, and we're going out to Stornoway. This is where Fiona's eyes can start rolling, because I'm going to try and beat her to some humpbacks this summer, even though she usually beats me to the humpbacks. So that was sort of, but all the skills that I learned volunteering on this boat in Falmouth all of a sudden have started to come back. And then one thing I wanted to touch on is, so I then got offered a job after this boat thing. So this would have been 2 autumns ago. So it wasn't last autumn, it was the autumn before. Can't do maths in my head, so that would be 2023. And I actually got this job. It was a step up career-wise within the comms world. It was a comms manager role. But then the company was, and I won't name them because I don't think that's fair, but they didn't actually then have the funding to support the role that they then offered me. So I was in that job for 2 weeks, then they paid me off and let me go. And then I was had no freelance projects, and I was unemployed for nearly 5 months, and it got a little bit scary. I did a few things to keep me sane. I ended up doing a very stupid social media thing called Precious Planet, where I did nature documentaries as Gollum and Smeagol. That is how sort of long the days were when I was unemployed, applying for jobs, wasn't hearing anything. And then eventually this job came up at WWT. So that would have been, so I've been here a year and a bit now, but I was up on Isla making some content for Opticron, and this job came up, and Slimbridge is half an hour from where I live. And yeah, it was a very competitive job to get. And I found out following my interview that there was 2 comms officer roles going at the time, and over 200 people applied for those roles. So I was very lucky to get this position. And so some interview tips from me, having just been through it fairly recently again last year, and sort of all the interviews that I've done since leaving university, is those sort of situations are as much for you as they are for your employer. So just make sure you interview them. I've been to so many interviews where I've got halfway through the interview and realized I don't want the job. For whatever reason, it's actually different. I had that experience in Bristol a couple of years ago. So I always go in prepared with about 10 questions. You won't get time to ask all of them, but I think particularly at the end of your interview, you need to ask 2 or 3 questions. So make sure you've got something prepared. But a lot of the time through my interviews, just something I've just got in the habit of doing is if I answer a question, I tend to ask the interviewer a question back, and just to sort of get that out of them, because you begin to see what the role actually entails, and it just gives you a bit more breathing room at the same time. If you ask someone a question, it just takes the pressure of you for a minute, just to collect your thoughts for a minute or two, which I think always helps just to keep that heart rate down. So, and then at the minute, I wanted to just touch on LinkedIn actually, just because through social media and all the sort of connections and links that I've been having, I mean, LinkedIn can be very corporate-y, it can be, but for me, it's opened a lot of doors, particularly in the last 12 months-ish. So with all the sort of the stuff from the Hebrides that I did, guiding on the ship, I got introduced to a chap called Josh Dewing. He was changing stuff up. So I got in touch with him, sort of what time are we now, April, about February, March time last year. And he was a director, CEO of a cruise ship company, expedition cruise ship, not all these like wildlife tours. And he was about to set up a business, and he told me to get back in touch in a couple of months. So I saved his email, made a note, and I was like, right, well, I'll go get back in touch with you in a couple of months. And true to his word, because I've had this so many times where people say, get back in touch, nothing ever happens. So be prepared for that. But he did, and he got back. I sent him an email, got back in touch. He launched this company called Explore Earth in the July, and I wrote some articles for them from some like archival whale and dolphin interactions. And then he wanted some videos. I was going out to the Hebrides that summer, and he wanted an article. So I started doing some writing, which was a bit of a different angle for me. And then we did some stuff together. And then in November, I got this email as I got to Slimbridge for my day job, and it was like Antarctica ? So I've recently just got back from the Antarctic, which was absolutely phenomenal. but it's all come from LinkedIn. And so, you know, I had to do a few things off the back of for free for him, but then everything else then was sort of paid for. And then that sort of connection and sort of all this experience from volunteering on a tour boat in Falmouth when I was doing my undergrad in 2012, I was trying to say 2012 again, what is going on? You can tell it's the end of the day. In 2012, led me to up till now, and I just got back from an incredible adventure. So my Instagram is Billy_Heaney. So I'm slowly getting through all the footage. I'm doing it in trip order. So the next video, spoiler alert, is going to be about leopard seals, which is I'm quite excited to get back to. That encounter was absolutely phenomenal. And as a pinniped nerd, that was something that was on the top of my list to see. So that video is hopefully going to go out. Oh, I need to make it, but that's probably a tomorrow and Friday job. But hopefully by the end of the week, that'll be out up on my social media. So that's kind of a very brief dump. I mean, I didn't really touch on, I should probably touch on a few more social media bits. But with the Mammal Society, I support, we've created content together as an ambassador. I support the campaigns. We did a good thing about Mammal Week last year. I'm also a campaign champion for whale and dolphin conservation. So this is all about moving away from keeping whales and dolphins in captivity. So when there's a campaign, I get involved with them and help support that, whether that's just promoting their assets or creating content for them. And I've recently joined Butterfly Conservation as an ambassador. So I've not done much with them yet, but it will be around Big Butterfly Week. There'll be some content going out. I'm just waiting to hear from the team what we do with that as well. But then most of my content at the minute is kind of that travel vibe for wildlife. I've moved away from the Gollum Precious Planet things because I've run out of ideas. And I kept losing my voice. I had to stop doing that. But it did help increase my reach. And I think, you know, social media is one of those things. It is particularly that 5-month period where I was unemployed and I had the time to do it. I soon saw growth, but I was on it. I was working on it every single day. And as soon as you step away from it, it's one of those things you need to fuel the beast for that. So with content, you do need a plan and you do need to always be planning ahead. You know, from this 2-week adventure that I've just had, I've got at least 8 weeks worth of material that I'll be slowly going through. But I'll only be posting once or twice a week because just, you know, day job and other bits and bobs. But then on top of that, I made a show reel for the presenting stuff I was doing on films and YouTube for my own stuff back just before the pandemic, and signed with an agency. I mean, it's all the TV world is, I mean, they don't have any jobs. That's the amount of people that I know in the TV world that have been made redundant or are applying for jobs, you know, 3 or 4 grades below what they're trained in is quite scary. So I've done a few things. And we got the Orca Watch on Spring Watch last year, although all the mentions I put to Mammal Society, funny enough, they cut out, which was really annoying because we had a really long piece and then we had orcas on Spring Watch last year, but they cut most of it out 1 minute before the thing went out as I was at Glasgow services driving back down. So I will leave that kind of there for a minute because then hopefully if you want any questions, I mean, footage, yeah, sorry, it's been a bit of a last minute scramble on a Wednesday. But there's lots of stuff on social media which you can see, and hopefully we can do some Mammal Society collaborations with that. But yeah, if you've got any questions for me before I get kicked out of the office, please fire away. I realise how red I am. That is rounders at lunchtime, and this office is boiling. Woo!
Brilliant. Thank you, Billy. So if anyone has got questions, stick them in the chat. We will stay around for about 5 minutes for questions, but otherwise that is the end of our session today. And it leaves me just to say a big thank you to all of our UMAC teams for participating, and to remind you all that this is not the end of your journey recording mammals or with the Mammal Society. Please continue using Mammal Mapper and continue engaging with all of the different things we do. And I will be sending all of our UMAC teams a quick follow-up email tomorrow with feedback links and some ideas about what you might want to do next. But if you've got questions for Billy or questions for anybody else that's spoken today, do stick them in the chat. Or our panelists, if you want to just unmute and ask a question, go for it. It looks like we've got a very quiet audience, or we've covered absolutely everything they wanted us to say. So I think we will just close the webinar there then. So thank you, everybody. Go and enjoy the sunshine.
Cheers all. Have a good evening.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
See you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.